For those just starting out, to those who built their reputation. In the detail industry, navigating the course is a daily grind. This is Play-by-Play, with industry professionals tackling topics and offering tips to help improve your game plan. Now, here's your Play-by-Play.
All right, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Play-by-Play. My boy Ron.
What's going on, man?
And today we got a hell of a show for you. We got one of the most distinguished gentlemen in the detailing industry, second to probably me.
Oh, 100%, but you're not quite as sharply dressed.
No,
no.
You know, the black polo and the gray shorts every day probably don't set me aside from the rest. But anyways, no, this guy's always dressed to impress, looking just as sharp as ever. And he's also very, very smart. He brings a lot of talent and skills and knowledge to our industry. And Yvan Lacroix will be on. We'll be bringing him on in just a little bit.
That's right, man. I feel like I should be wearing a bow tie or maybe an ascot or something so I can fancy it up a little bit.
What about one of those things that
bolo ties.
Bolo ties.
Like,
see, that's what I want to wear.
All right, I'm gonna get you one for your birthday.
Yeah, do that.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, indeed. So we got Yvan on to the show today, and it's going to be great. And don't forget, today we also are going to be bringing you a hacker hack that you can't miss.
Okay. What's it about? We want to wait to tell me?
Well, I'm just going to let you know that we're going to try to put a little bit of money back in your pocket. This is something a lot of the new guys might not know, and you're just going to have to stick around to the end to find out.
These hacks are always they're always intriguing. I like what we're doing there. It's always fun. But before we get to all that, before we get to hacker hack and Yvan, we want to talk about something that's going to be relevant in a lot of the detailers' worlds, and that is the conference that's coming up, the SDC. And what we want to talk about is, when you go to these conferences, we talked about it a few times before, is to kind of, what to expect out of it and what you should do, like, to get the most bang for your buck.
Right.
You're traveling up there, you're taking off work, chances are you're paying for the hotel, the travel, and all that stuff, so you got money invested in it.
Yep.
How do you go get that money back out of it, and what should you do while you're there?
Oh, are you asking me? Was that a question?
Yeah.
Because I was there last year, so I mean,
that's me passing the mic, Ryan.
I appreciate it like that. So we last year we were there. The training classes I think are going to be done a little bit different this year.
Yes, they are.
And so first you gotta attend those training classes. I mean, it's just you've got so many people and so much knowledge just packed into that that area, and so I mean you'd be missing out.
The trainings are huge. I mean, you have you have basically in one building a little a snippet of all across the industry. Right. So like if you're really needing to work on your business skills, or you're needing to work on your gel coat repair skill or whatever, there's literally a class for everybody.
Right.
So that's where you start, right? You go take these classes, you sign up for them, you go in there. I think they're usually an hour long, so it's not, you're not sitting in class taking notes for hours on end. I mean, you're in there, you're learning about what specifically you're interested in.
Exactly.
And then you're on to the next one.
Right.
So that's huge, right?
Absolutely.
Then you get into the show.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, once you get into the show, right, you got all of your different, I'd say, providers,
suppliers,
all your vendors, suppliers.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
And
that's what we're called, right?
Yeah, we are.
We're a supplier.
Suppliers.
Yeah,
Indeed.
We're a supplier of software.
Pieces of
now
software.
can be found on AutoGeek.
That's
by the
correct.
way.
Check us out.
Little shameless plug.
Yeah. But man, actually getting to meet other detailers there, as well as just the people that are behind the products, and we're talking about we've met some awesome people.
Oh man, we have. I mean, that's really where I was able to find people in our industry, because when you're detailing, it's so easy to feel like you're the only one that does this thing. You get isolated, you're trapped in your shop or in your local hometown, and it doesn't seem that big. But you go to one of these events and you see a few thousand other people that do exactly what you do,
right,
that struggle the same way you struggle, that fight the same fights you fight. It's motivating.
Absolutely, and the Southern Detailers Conference is 100% detailing.
Yes, and I think that's the only conference that's a bigger conference like this that is specific to detailing.
Yeah. So I mean, to have all those people in one place. Now, a lot of these guys, you know, they tend to watch. Well, of course, we're going to watch YouTube videos when we first start out. We're going to start, you know, getting knowledge any way we can. And of course, you see these people on Facebook, and you know, it's almost like you idolize them a little bit, right? Because they're up here on this level.
Yeah, I can't relate.
You can't? Oh, see, every time I watch our podcast,
I
just look at you.
No, but you're absolutely right.
Right.
You see these people that you've put on maybe a pedestal.
Sure.
And now you're in front of them.
Yeah.
Now you're shaking hands with them. You're meeting them. And listen, guys, they're human. They're just like me and you. And so you're able to talk to them one-on-one and really humanize that, you know, that experience or that person that you have somewhat kind of, like you said, idolized. And it's really cool to see how, you know, down to earth most of these guys are,
100%.
guys and girls are. And I think that it's a great way to start networking within our industry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and listen, if you're shy, if you're an introvert,
Right.
you know, you can kind of do this thing at your own pace.
Sure.
You know, you walk around from booth to booth. You don't have to be like Mr. Popularity there.
Mm-hmm.
You can go have the experience and really not have to be that involved, because each booth offers its own little thing. You
Right.
can go around there and kind of, you know, just ease through the show at your own pace, but still get all the value out of it.
I always think of Chris Wilkins from So Fresh and So Clean.
Clean.
Last SDC.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you remember, that man was on a mission. He hit up every single booth.
He was.
He took
Yeah.
in every bit of knowledge. I mean, he was just a sponge, absorbing everything he could get his hands on.
He was, and man, he actually won Mobile Detailer of the Year.
Yep, sure did.
Last year, and dude, he was. I mean, you want to talk about cool? Now he's a cool guy.
No
I mean,
doubt.
he went up there and he had his watch on and the shoes on, and you know, just he was distinguished.
I guarantee.
a different distinguished than Ivan, but definitely distinguished.
That's right.
Yeah.
And he won't let us down this year either. I'm sure he's going to come completely flossed out. And there was a moment where I saw you kind of fanboy out a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You tapped me and you said, "Hey, look, that's Mike Phillips." And he's like, "Hey, oh man!" I was like,
Yeah, I did.
It was
I
great.
did.
It was great to see that because
Well, and I mean, listen, let's be real. Like, a lot of these guys, like, if you've been detailing, especially 8 or 10, 12 years ago, when there wasn't that many trainings and, like, there wasn't as much information at your fingertips as there is now, you look to people like Mike Phillips that were writing these forums and things and had some YouTube videos going, and that's where you got your information from. Right. So you literally put them on a shelf, right, on a pedestal.
Sure.
Because like you're like, oh man, oh yeah, they have problems getting the stain out of the carpet too. Like let's watch this, you know, and so that's where that comes from. And when you finally get the chance to meet him and you realize, hey, this guy's just just like me or you. It's really cool, but definitely, a little starstruck at first. I think we had him on our podcast.
We did.
Yeah. Fortunately, I had like 46 Michelob Ultras and like 400 shots of peanut butter whiskey. So I don't remember like seeing him at the table, but I know he was there.
Oh yeah, there's video evidence somewhere, I'm sure.
That's right. That's right. And just listen. One thing, don't forget to, like when you're going up to these booths, make sure to tell them who you are and try to relate to them. Like you guys, I mean, especially at our booth, we remember the stories. We remember the experience as well. It's just an experience for us as it is for everyone going to the show as a participant, because we're there as a supplier, as a vendor.
That's right.
And we're there to show the software, but we're there to have this experience and learn about everybody. It helps make us better in the industry, providers of software and just providers of information and helping out. So make sure that as you're coming up introducing yourself, tell us, we want to hear your story. We want to hear why you're there.
Sure.
And that's engaging. That helps us understand, how to make these shows that much better.
And I get it, guys. We are, I can see why y'all hold us on a pedestal.
Well, everybody's starstruck when they see you.
Exactly.
Ryan.
We're very approachable. I don't want y'all just have to get over that and jump on in there, introduce yourself. I can't wait.
Ryan only does autographs from, what's the autograph times? Like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
he's really particular about how long he'll do.
2:30 a.m. to 3.
Yeah, usually, and he'll have someone else doing the signatures.
Like I just supervise.
Yeah,
and really, I don't even pay attention.
Yeah, you just dot the I.
Yeah.
Is there an I in your name?
Yeah. All right, yeah.
Ryan,
So,
R-I-A-N.
Were you in here earlier? Yeah, the guy at Chick-fil-A said, "Is that Ryan with an I or a Y?"
Are you serious?
I said, "Sir,
no, I was not in here earlier.
Like, I've been called, Ryan my whole entire life, and I've never met someone.
Is that Ryan with an R or a K?
It's actually the K silent.
The K silent. It's K-R. Yeah, it's K-R.
So,
All right, well, listen, back to the show, guys. We do talk about detailing. We can talk about software, but listen, we have
Starstruck. Eric Boston.
listen, we got Ivan coming on. Let's bring him onto the show. Let's talk about let's actually learn something today and stop messing around. Uh-oh. Is he may be on, but maybe we can't see him. Ivan, are you there? Okay, no problem. Young guys and computers are about the same. Don't worry about it. We don't know what we're doing either.
There you go.
There he is. What's going on, man? How are you doing? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, man, we're going great. Just ready to get this show going. Just wanted to talk about something that's very obvious to most is I feel like you are one of the most distinguished guys in our industry. Always dressed to impress, always looking nice with the bow tie. Are you always this put together? No. Yeah.
I am and what how I like to dress. So not trying to impress anyone, just being myself.
You said since high school? That's been the look?
Yes.
Oh, man,
Wow.
that's awesome.
It's a great look on you. I love it. You know, I'm listen, my style or my fashion is minimal at best. Like, I'm usually the least coolest person in the room, period. And so, like, I really look up to you guys that can pull this kind of stuff off. And, like, if that were in my closet, I would be like, I wouldn't even know where to start. I'm like the black polo and gray shorts kind of guy.
But definitely recognizable.
Well, this is easy for me. I just reach into the closet and reach into the drawer and mix and match.
That's so
perfect.
cool, man. So before we jump too much or too far into it, the Detailers Business Academy we're going to talk about here in just a second, and your influence on the industry. And so, can you give the listeners some background information on your 30+ years in detailing and how you became the influencer that you are today?
Well, I don't consider myself an influencer, but thanks anyways. And as far as the 30+ years, it's actually 40+ years now. So
Wow.
I've been in the industry a little while. Have done everything from develop products, working for chemical companies, working for tool companies, product companies, as well as running my own businesses, up to and including a franchise operation with 26 locations. And currently I'm semi-retired, enjoying life, and just helping detailers become entrepreneurs.
You know, and that's awesome. So when I got into the detailing industry, it's been it's been over 10 years now. I kind of the same. Well, I don't know if the same mindset, but it was definitely business first. I enjoyed detailing. I always detailed my own boats and cars and stuff. But I was starting a business. I mean, I didn't set out to be the best polisher in the world. I set out to run a successful business. And I think that's the opposite way that most detailers start. A lot of detailers start. They want to be, they're hey, I love detailing. This is what I want. I want to be the best detailer around. I want to be, the best polisher around. And I think that creates an issue sometimes when trying to teach someone how to grow the business versus how to, be the best detailer. And I was just curious. I feel like you kind of have the same take and use that in your academy to teach the business side of things. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. Anybody can polish a car, anybody can wash a car, everybody can clean an interior. Satisfying the customers is the hard part. And
that's right.
Balancing that, that customer satisfaction versus profitability versus your ego is where it really comes down to, are you successful or not? And success does not mean monetary. Success is whatever you want it to be. I had an employee that by giving him Friday afternoons off, that was the best thing I could have ever done for that employee. He wouldn't have cared getting $20 an hour more. It was, I have my Fridays off so I can go to the races.
Yeah. And I'm glad you bring that up because, when we talk about success, we talk about it a lot. it's not always about money, and then for me, and I've said this numerous times, it's really nothing about money to me. It's about the people that are around me all kind of growing and coming up, and that's how I know that we're successful. As our team grows out and up, then I know that we're doing things right, and it has nothing to do with how much money's in the bank or or any of that. It's literally just the come up of everybody around. So I think that's really cool.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And so now, being in the industry for 40 years, all right, you've seen a lot of changes, I'm sure. So when did the kind of idea for the academy come to you, and when did you just kind of recognize that there was this difference in, the mentality of detailers concentrating more on, like, the polishing aspect of it and losing focus of the business part of it?
The losing focus of the business and becoming better polishers coincides with the opening of Facebook and detailing groups and things like that. That's when the egotistical part of it came up. Before, everyone was in their own little corner. They might have known the guy down the street or across town, but that was their only point of comparison. Now you have people taking spectacular pictures of maybe not so great work. So it really ups the ante for a lot of people, thinking they have to be this good or they have to have this much shine or gloss, when it could have been a filter. It could have been the angle the picture was taken at. So that's changed the industry a lot. Inversely, it's changed it for good as well. A lot more communication, a lot more understanding of what the industry is and what it can do. The other big change that I've observed over the years is the addition of coatings. Before ceramic coatings, we would do a polish and a wax and all that for $250 and call it good. Now, same amount of work, but we're charging $1,500 or $2,000, which makes it much better in our pocketbooks and makes detailers more into entrepreneurs or business owners, because now they actually have some funds to build a business. And that's where we're seeing, multi-million-dollar shops and all the investments taking on, and people owning their own land and owning their own shops, which to me is spectacular.
Yeah, and I can definitely speak to that. So when I started, and I had sold another business, and I'd kind of gotten to this business as, I'll do this thing and we'll see where it goes. But to do a $200 or $300 job, that was a great day, have a couple of those in the shop. And then to go, as coatings started to come out and we realized that ticket prices were climbing and we were able to charge professional rates, it was really an eye-opening experience as to how big this business could really get. But then there was the backlash of, and I think we've all experienced this, of the bad marketing of ceramic coatings and what they would do, and so we had to live through that era of over-promising so we can charge what we want, and so everybody was making these huge claims as to what these ceramic coatings would do. Then a year later, you have 100 vehicles back in for their coating failures because you told them that it would stop everything in the world. So we had to live through that era as well. I'm sure you can speak to that, huh?
Yeah, a lot of the coating companies unfortunately don't manufacture their own product and don't do R&D. They're buying, they're white labeling, and they are going on the claims of the person that sold them the coating and just putting that forward. So unfortunately, that was a poor start to the coating industry. But it was. We're over that. We're past that now. Companies have done their R&D. They know what they're talking about now. So it does make a difference. But yeah, the original claims of, it's scratch proof. Our idea as a detailer, scratch proof, is maybe a dry microfiber going over the surface. The customer's idea of scratch proof is, hey, my ex-wife went down the side of the car with the keys and it's scratched.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And, listen, I think that trainings have helped that a lot as they've evolved into teaching detailers, what to claim, like how to sell the coating, and then how to make it in layman's terms where the customer understands what what they're getting or what they're paying for.
And what it takes to keep that up. If you're, going to be offering a warranty, well, you're going to have to do your part in order to maintain that warranty, proper maintenance, get it in a regular schedule.
Well, and that one, so we were all facing with that, like, one-shot wonder. You could get this vehicle in or boat in, and you charge them $1,500, $2,000, whatever it is, and you never see that vehicle again because you made all these claims. that's not the idea. That's not a very good business model. We want to see that vehicle regular, as we were before when we were waxing it. But we needed to understand how to sell that continuous maintenance, and so that all of that has evolved into a very successful. If you know how to sell the coatings that you're applying, it's evolved, especially for us, into very successful. But so one thing that I noticed or that I've heard is that you stated that you teach detailers to channel their passion for their craft into passion for entrepreneurship, and
right.
I absolutely love that. So where do you think that starts with a detailer?
When they realize that they've worked 40, 60 hours in a week and they could have made more money working, at McDonald's.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the passion sort of diminishes when you realize that, hey, I enjoy doing it. It's fun. It's, really what I want to do, but I still need to feed my family. And that's when the entrepreneurship starts, budding and growing and thinking, wait a minute, there's other people that are making millions a year doing detailing. Why am I struggling to make ends meet? And that's when they start investigating the other side. The cost of entry to become a detailer is extremely low. You have a bucket, you have some form of wash media and some soap, voila, you're a detailer. So the people aren't entering it with great business knowledge to begin with. I started it as a business, and you mentioned as well that you started it as a business venture.
Absolutely.
And that gave us a leg up on our competition. That started as a passion thing. Now I'm a passionate car guy. I've had over 60 cars so far, and keeps growing. But nonetheless, it's not where we make our money. It's not how you can retire. It's not how you can make investments, things like that.
Sure. And listen, like, there's no better way to learn something than have to learn, right? So if you're out there working, you got bills coming in, and you're doing all this work and you're barely scraping by, or maybe not even making enough to pay the bills, like, you got to figure it out.
Right.
Or either you're going to get out of the business and go back to work for somebody else. And so, like, it's a very humbling and eye-opening experience to be at that point and go, okay, I'm working my butt off here and I still can't pay the power bill.
Right.
There's a problem. Where's the hole in this? Where's the hole in the boat? And so, people like Yvan and that can teach you how to go, okay, here's what you need to be focused on. You can be a great detailer, but you've got to be a businessman at some level in order to make this thing work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And working hard is the easy part. Hardly working is the hard part.
Absolutely.
You got that nailed.
Yeah. Oh, come on now. Wait a minute. What was that?
So, I get the pleasure of seeing a lot of, talking to a lot of detailers, and one thing that I have noticed is pricing is all over the place. And, yes, it's very, regions have their own, but I mean, there's guys out there that are literally taking anything that comes to them, because they need the work. And then you have other guys that are, just charging, very high rates and maybe not following up through with your maintenance and everything. I mean,
Sure.
So what do you do, or what do you think that you need to take into consideration when it comes to coming up with pricing for your services?
Well, first of all, you need to figure out what your cost per hour is to run your business, and you can't go below that. Secondly, go out to buy a Ford F-350. No matter where you buy it in the country, or we'll take a car that's all over the world, a Volkswagen Golf. Go out to buy a Volkswagen Golf. It's the same price everywhere. In fact, in some countries a little more than others, but generally speaking, it's roughly the same price. Detailing should be the same way. When you go to your mechanic, it's pretty much $100, $120 an hour everywhere you go nowadays. And for detailers, it varies anywhere from $30 to $200 an hour.
Yep.
Meanwhile, the detailer that's in a shop-based situation has the same expenses as a mechanic or as a body shop. The electrical utilities company doesn't go, oh, he's a detailer, we're going to charge him less per kilowatt hour.
Absolutely.
No. Your insurance company, same thing. And if you're a detailer, you're probably paying more electricity than a mechanic, because we actually have lights in our shops. So there's a lot of things going on that detailers really need to experience what they're worth and figure out what they are worth. And unfortunately, a lot of detailers, I did a training in Poland a couple of years ago, actually 5 years ago now, but there's like 50 detailers there, and not one had a car that was worth more than maybe $20,000 or $25,000. But you ask them, what's the last 5 cars you did? And things like BMW, Maserati, Bentley, Mercedes, all come into play. And you ask them, well, what's the common denominator amongst your customers? And most of them realize that their customers are entrepreneurs. They own restaurants, they own hair salons, they own factories, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So as a detailer, you're also an entrepreneur. You should be charging the same amount of money to live the same lifestyle that your customers are.
That's
and, for us, our shop, we're in a last shop I had, not depressed, but, not necessarily the richest area in the world. The average income was about $28,000 a year at that time.
Wow.
The customers coming into our shop to get coatings were driving Honda Civics and Ford Focuses and Volkswagen Golfs, things like that. Meanwhile, my employees were driving BMWs and Mercedes. Why? Because I paid them well so that they could afford to buy a house. They could afford to send their kids to school. They could afford everything they needed. And I did that because I had efficiencies built into the company, but also the pricing was set up so that, yes, I could be profitable.
That's right. And I think a lot of detailers let the customer dictate their worth, like and that's not the case. The customer doesn't know you. So when I cringe when I hear people say, well, the customer's not willing to pay that.
Right.
Okay, well, does the customer know how much it costs you to do this job? Like, so how can you rely on the customer to tell you what they're willing to pay? If they're not willing to pay what you need to charge, then that's not your customer.
That's absolutely
flat out,
right.
And there's nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong with the customer not being a great fit for your company. You just have to find that early in the game and not later. But
absolutely.
So efficiency and profitability, those are topics that you mentioned in your sessions. Why do you feel these two in particular are significant to detailers, efficiency and profitability?
Well, first of all, efficiency breeds quality. The more efficient you are, the more systems you have in place, the higher quality you'll put out because you're repeating the same processes over and over.
Right. It only gets better.
As far as profitability goes, that is the key to proper customer service. If you are not profitable, you won't be there to serve your customer again when they need you. So you need to be profitable. And like you mentioned, nobody negotiates a price with just about anybody else. You don't go to your mechanic and they say, "Oh,
sure,
the job is $299.95," and you go, "Yeah, but I only wanted to spend $150." No, nobody does that.
Right.
And it should be the same with detailing. And I had a way, basically, to thwart customers a little bit when they would ask for a better price. Let's say I quoted them $2,500 for a job. They say, "Well, can you give me a better price?" Without missing a beat, of course, I'm willing to go up to $3,500, but more than that, I feel like I might be taking advantage of it.
That's great.
That stops negotiations right there. Basically, right. I know my worth, and it's not worth it for me to do a job that's under my cost of operations. Sure. If it costs me, $100 an hour to operate my business, there's no way I'm going to do a job at $95 an hour. Now, bring me a job at $300 an hour, I'm all over it. But the under my cost, I might as well sit at my desk and do marketing than actually do that job.
Or bring my truck around and do it. If it's gonna cost me money, let's do mine.
Exactly.
But listen, your answer to negotiation is far better than mine. Mine is always so we have a list of services and this is what we're providing. When we give an estimate, we break it down, and they ask for can you do it cheaper or whatever that may be. And I say, which one of these services do you want to remove? And then I'll tell you exactly how much that'll knock off the tab, and then it kind of changes the mindset of, I have to take less if I pay you less. And that's how we, respond. Not, we do it tactfully and gracefully, but in a sense we're saying, hey, what do we not need? What do you not want us to do here so we can charge within your budget? And it usually stops that in its tracks. But I like the higher price is the better price. I'm probably going to have to adopt that at some point. Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, fine, I'll go. So I was gonna say I tried that at the doctor's office the other day. I told him, "Hey, man, the guy across the street charges half that, and he didn't lower my bill." Yeah, he did.
The guy across the street charging half than what you do, that's great. McDonald's does not compete with Ruth Chris.
That's right.
When Kia puts the Rio on sale, the sales team at the BMW dealership doesn't go into a huddle and saying, okay, we have to lower the price of the 7 Series because the Rio was on sale. No, they're not competing against each other. They're both cars. They both have 4 wheels. They both get you from point A to point B. But one, the customer actually wants. The other one is, they need it. So we shouldn't be competing with the car wash. The car wash can do an interior of $29.95 and be profitable all day long. Mm-hmm. Yep. As a detailer, we can't leave our desk for $29.95 and be profitable. Nope. So that's where it really comes into play, is understanding your worth and who you're competing with. And your competition is you. It's nobody else. The guy down the street is not your competition. You are.
No, and that's spot on. That's exactly the take I have on it. And I have a little quick story about the guy across the street. And this became super real. You know, we always say the guy across the street when we're typically referring to somebody miles down the road. Well, I have a very large facility in our little local, in our area here.
Yeah.
We're on 6.5 acres with a very large shop and all. But literally, a guy puts a detail shop across the street. Like here's my shop, and right across the street is, I don't remember the name. Something detailing, of course. And anyway, so I come to the office and I have like 5 or 6 people of our staff come in that morning and say, hey, did you see there's a detail shop across the street? They've opened a shop across the street, and everybody's kind of like, you know, what do we do? What do we do? And I said, well, what do you mean, what do we do? Like, you know, we're booked out for months, and like, well, let's help the guy, you know, like, let's invite him over, see if he needs some help, you know, and maybe pass some business back and forth.
We actually had a software discussion with him as well.
Yeah, we talked about software with him, and you know, and it's funny, like everybody kind of immediately went to that. What do we do? And I said, well, it's no different than us being buddies with all the other detailers in the local area. We're going to be buddies with him. And
exactly.
Needless to say, I think it was a poor business decision on his part, because he didn't stay there long. I think he was there a couple months, and then he's gone. But you know, I think that, you know, you hit it best when you said, you know, you're your own competition. That's it. We're not competing. There's more cars and boats and motorcycles and 18-wheelers than all of us can do combined. So there's no shortage in the market. You know, if anything, there's a shortage of detailers, of professional detailers. So to sit here and stress on the guy across the street is spinning wheels that don't need to be spun. So yeah.
And you mentioned doing marketing from your desk. You were like, you know, it's better to do that than actually, you know, go out there and do a job for $29. So with marketing, though, is that something that, you know, how do you see with detailers and the way that they're doing their marketing? Is there something that you would advise them to do that would be a little bit more efficient or maybe make more sense to their customers?
Yeah. First of all, stop marketing to other detailers.
Yes.
No, we've all seen the video of the foam cannon shot, then the little brush on the emblem, and the polishing in an oblique angle with the polisher up against the nose and all that.
Yeah.
To dubstep music, and it lasts 3 minutes, and they pour water on it at the end, right?
All right.
No consumer has ever gone past the foam cannon shot on that. Now, other detailers are sitting in front of their computer with a box of Kleenex, but the consumer is not. So, unfortunately, too many detailers are marketing to other detailers. They're not marketing to, you know, their target audience. Make your post educational. The ones I see, and we've seen this, you know, too many times, is here's a picture of a shiny car. And today's marketing is a picture of a shiny car. And look at that, another shiny car. Customers could care less. Make it engaging. And if you're making videos, 30 seconds, Big Max. Don't go past that.
That's right.
And that will get you going. Other thing is Google. Now, we all, as business owners, we all get the call saying, hey, we can improve your Google ranking by whatever. Mm-hmm. No, Google will never call you, but you can call Google. And when you call Google and say, hey, I want help with my AdWords campaign, they're going to bend over backwards to make sure your AdWords campaign is spectacular. Because when you win on Google, where's your marketing money going to be going back?
They win too. Wow. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Have we ever called Google?
Oh yeah, we've called Google. You know, it's always funny, you know, is to watch in these groups, these detailers post their pictures of their work and stuff, and I'm like, you know, if you take that time you're spending into these groups, and then they usually argue about whatever, something in there, and to go spend that on your own personal page and actually or your business page and actually get something from this, so people that are not going to argue with you, like your customers, and put that effort into your company. So,
well, my question is, how do I know you're a detailer if you don't have a profile picture with you holding a polisher? You know, there's no way for me to know that you're a detailer.
Yeah, you know, I confuse people with the bow tie, so it really screws things up. But yeah, no, definitely, you know, detailers are very much into instant gratification. It's part of who we are. It's part of what we do. We like to see things shine, and we like to show off that, hey, I made something shine.
We did this. Yep.
Yeah. From the customer's perspective, their idea of what our idea of detailing is two completely different things.
It's totally different. It's totally different. And when you realize that and what they're willing to pay for versus what you're trying to accomplish, usually those are on two different ends of the spectrum, and you've got to find their end, because you're going to overwork, and you know there's no amount of money that you can charge because they're just not willing to pay for the level of what you're willing to go in most cases.
Exactly. And you know, a lot of detailers get caught up in my customer wants it to be perfect. Well, your customer thought the car driving out of the showroom floor was perfect.
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have a question. Detailers, to understand, you know, we're talking about business, we're talking about whether you're making money or losing money. For them to understand, you know, losing profits or making money, they got to look into their business. What are some of the tactics that you would suggest for them to audit and then, you know, use to measure that success? Obviously not just their checking account.
Yeah. First of all, check your, you know, how many hours are you working? If you're working more than 40 hours a week, you're doing something wrong. Sure. You know, old saying in my family is there's 24 hours in a day. You have 8 hours to work, 8 hours to spend with family and friends, 8 hours to sleep, and 8 hours to make love. The first one is the least important.
Right.
So
yeah.
You know, my grandparents had very colorful sayings. They also had 20 kids. So, but yeah, it was a big family. But my grandfather always said, perfection kills, excellence is better. And by that, he meant that if you're striving for perfection, you're never going to get there. You're going to die before you're perfect. But strive for excellence. And like I mentioned before, you know, profits are an integral part of good customer service. You need to be profitable. And the big mistake that a lot of detailers make when they're making their pricing up, they might know their cost for utilities and products and rent and all that stuff, and that's easy to figure out. But then, how do I pay myself?
Yep,
what I always suggest is calculate all your expenses. So, you know, the utilities, the rent, the marketing, the phones, the lights, all that fun stuff. Then on top of that, add $100,000, because as a business owner, if you're not making $100,000 a year take home wage or gross wage, you're doing something wrong. Finally, multiply that number by 1.3. So add 30% to that number. Once you've got that all figured out, then divide it by 1,920. And 1,920 is the number of hours worked in a year. Mm-hmm. If you're working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, and taking statutory holidays and 2 weeks vacation. Mm-hmm. That is when you'll know what your hourly rate has to be. And a lot of people have done that calculation, thought that by charging $50 an hour, I'll be a millionaire, realize that they're losing money every time they go under $96 an hour, or every time they go under $110 an hour.
Absolutely.
So, you know, calculate your wage into that, calculate your profits into that. If you have something over and above that at the end, even better. But don't go below that number.
That's right.
That's great advice, man. Fantastic advice. Where are we at over here? I'm sorry, I was just enthralled in that.
We're you know, seeing the industry change over the years, and you know, so as more people come into the detail sector, how do we get them to understand that this isn't just a car wash? Like that, to take it that well, and I think that you have both ends. I think that there's opportunity for the high volume, you know, car washes. Absolutely, it's a huge market. But the ones that are more focused on the professional side, the detailing side of it, you know, how do we, I guess, figure out your place in that? You know, do we let the detailers kind of, I mean, how do we let them figure that out?
Unfortunately, you know, they sort of have to figure it out themselves. Now, there's a lot of companies like yourselves, like myself, doing our best to, as soon as come into the detailing fold, here, come with us. We'll show you another way. But they, unfortunately get caught up in the Facebook groups and the chat rooms and all that fun stuff where they see other people just boosting their ego and posting the same crap over and over and over again. I actually made a video to post, and I have a hyperlink to it. It's very quick for me to put on any post. When I see how much should I charge for this, well, I have an answer to it. And I think that's the most common question we see in any of the more professional detailing groups, other than what's the best wax, what's the best coating. So, but
or more recently, what's the best software? CRM.
There's a lot of advantages to having CRM, and it's something that the newer detailers coming in already have a grasp of what a CRM can be. People my age, we're still pen and paper. So and
rightfully so. Like I came up pen and paper, but I was always very I wanted to put processes in place that would be automated as much as possible, and I didn't have to be hands-on. Anything that I don't have to be hands-on, I can pass off. And
exactly,
estimates and scheduling and that kind of thing. If we could make something that would automate a lot of that, that was a no-brainer for me. And when we built Detail Bookie, by the way, this is not a pitch for the software. We don't do that on the show, believe it or not. We really don't. But I built it not to sell to other detailers. I built it to run my shop, and specifically just for that. And once I realized how well it worked and what it did, where it took me from here to there, was unbelievable. And so it definitely has a place in the market. But I get both sides because I've been on both sides. I've had it where a dry erase board with 100 clips, and we had paper tickets hanging on the wall, and we did the pen and paper thing, and there's hey, we became efficient at that, but then we took the next level at that.
Well, those clips get loose, and every once in a while you have a ticket just fall behind the
or you have if you're familiar with the marine or boat world, we have 4 blue sea hunts on the lot. 4 blue sea hunts, and we didn't take enough information at the time to distinguish between the 4. And so it's like, okay, we have a ticket here for a blue sea hunt. Let's go ahead and start that one. And we look up, and there's 4 of them, and they're all identical. And we're like, oh shit, what do we do? Call the owner and go, so which one of these is yours?
Write your initials on it somewhere that I've been able to identify.
Going through the registration, trying to figure out who owns what.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that actually can become a marketing opportunity as well. What I used to do, and if you don't have employees, I really suggest you don't do this. But if you have employees and you have a customer that's a good potential for a coating, simply take a 1-year coating or a 2-year coating. They're inexpensive. They're just as easy to apply as a wax. And we would just put the coating on the car. But at the same time, we tell the customer, my technician accidentally put a ceramic coating on your car. Now, if you don't like it, call me back in 3 weeks and we'll remove it and replace it with a wax. Nobody ever called to replace it with a wax.
Nope.
They called to book another vehicle and another vehicle and another vehicle. So
that's right.
We stopped offering wax about 15 years ago. Even if the customer asked for a wax, we'd still put a coating on it. And, my employee screwed up. Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Then the next time they come back and say, I really like that coating, but you said you had something better, right? Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We've done similar, in the years past, and you think about all the things you do to, just to get the word out or show people how well something works. And it's funny. I don't think I've ever blamed it on an employee, but we've definitely done by the way, we accidentally did this and really just to watch and then immediately, I mean, the payback's almost immediate, when you put that out there. So
that. And so with all the YouTube trainers out there, these training classes are popping up all over the country. I mean, there's it seems like there's one every single week somewhere.
Good.
Do you see the way that you kind of approach your trainings through the academy, focusing on the business aspect of it as much as, or at least in the same field of the detailing part of it?
Well, when I do the hands-on training, so I do one-on-one coaching, over Zoom or a phone call. That's more business oriented. But the hands-on training is definitely hands-on, and let's get a polisher in your hand as soon as possible. I don't like the lecture style of teaching. Your class or on your podcast at all, but Mike and I are the same thread in that when someone starts with our training, let's say this training starts at 8 a.m. by maybe 5 after 8, they're already washing a car.
Yes.
There's none.
Yes.
There's no blah blah, none of that. But my training, I go a little differently. So yes, I attract detailers into, I'm going to teach you how to wet sand, I'm going to teach you how to polish better, all that fun stuff. But my goal is to make them into entrepreneurs. So all the time I'm teaching, I'm also explaining why we're doing it this way, how can this benefit your business, et cetera, et cetera. And I normally do a 2-day training. So the first day goes from 8 a.m. to somewhere between 10 and 11 p.m. And the reason I go that long is from 8 till 5, we're hands-on. From 5 o'clock to 10 or 11 o'clock, it's sitting down talking about business over supper. That has also stopped people from going out and getting drunk that night and showing up late the next morning for training.
That happens?
Yeah, it's occasionally happened. And actually, it only happened to me once, and that's when I extended my class. Instead of ending at 5 and everybody going their own way, no. You're here till basically someone tells me to shut up.
Right.
And sometimes it's gone till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Wow,
and then the next morning, we start at 8. By 5 o'clock, everyone's heading home. But the whole goal of it is to show them efficiencies in ways that they've never seen efficiency before. And so the hands-on portion, yes, it's about polishing. It's about making paint as glossy and as perfect as they can. But at the same time, it's how can you do this profitably? How can you satisfy your customers in the way you're doing it? And then, always relating it back to marketing and sales and customer satisfaction. So.
Yeah, and I love that, man. Talking to you, it's nice to speak to someone that talks the business side of things instead of how perfect paint can actually be polished. Because as fun as that sounds, that doesn't pay the bills a lot, and so it's nice to speak with someone with the same ideas and all, and definitely look up to you, and appreciate you coming on the show, by the way. So if someone was interested in your trainings, how would they go about finding you?
Well, on YouTube, they just have to look up Detailers Business Academy.
Okay.
I also have a Facebook group that's Detailers Business Academy, and then just my name. You can look on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on.
So you can be found pretty much anywhere.
Whatever platform. Yeah, I'm not hard to find.
Have you made it to TikTok yet?
Omnipresent.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you made it to TikTok yet?
Yes, actually,
really?
I haven't. My bus is on TikTok.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
As you know, I live in a tour bus. We travel in a tour bus, and the bus has its own YouTube channel, has its own TikTok, has its own Facebook and Instagram. Personally, I'm not on TikTok because it would just be a talking head and it'd be boring.
Yeah, same here. Well, listen, like I said, I really appreciate you coming on, Ivan. I've looked up to you for a long time. It's glad to finally meet you, I guess, face to face in our virtual world, and talk business with you, talk detailing with you. So appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come on here and shout at us.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you.
All right, we'll see you soon. So, man, what an awesome guy. Like,
That's your kindred spirit, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. He gets it. Yeah, he gets it.
I love that.
And I hope detailers stuck around and to listen to all of it. They got to flip the switch.
Yeah.
The switch has to be flipped if you want to be successful with it and grow it past just the owner operator style. I think that you could you could detail by yourself and kind of limp through and make it without having much business experience or want. But if you want to grow anything past that, you really got to understand the business side of it.
Yeah, and when he said he kind of gave you the figure of what you should be making, it's like $100,000 a year. I wanted to ask him what the going rate was for software salesmen.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
15,000.
Well, man, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But this is my favorite part.
What time is it?
Hack
or hack.
All right. Of course, it's hack or hack.
That's right, guys. So today, most detailers start out washing and rinsing cars with a garden hose. But when you know better, you do better. The garden hose uses 10 times the water of a pressure washer, so it just makes sense, right? Sense, Donna.
See what you did there.
So go get yourself, switch to a pressure washer.
Look at this. Oh. No, this is great. This is great. So what we have here, Chris, is showing the difference in. And Chris, by the way, is an awesome guy that puts together our videos for Hacker Hack, and he's doing a fantastic job with these. But showing you the difference between regular water pressure and a power washer, and you can see there the tip. A lot of people say, well, the pressure washer is dangerous. You can see that our tip fans out very wide, and so it doesn't allow much direct pressure, which would cause, which minimizes our risk. Now, disclaimer, you can still peel paint, you can still burn plastics or cut plastics, you can still mess stuff up. Be careful with a pressure washer or a power washer, because you can absolutely get too close. You can absolutely peel paint. Hey, thanks for coming on, Ivan.
Thank you so much.
You can absolutely mess things up. However, when we talk about efficiency and we talk about things that help you, hacks, power washer is a no-brainer. One other thing, though, make sure that tip is pushed into the gun all the way. If you've detailed for any length of time with a power washer, you probably had this happen to you. You shove the tip in it and squeeze the trigger, and the tip shoots out at like rocket launch speed. And if it's aimed towards the car, it's going to hit, and it's going to ding, and it's going to chip the paint. It's going to happen. I promise you. So make sure it's pushed in all the way, and always test it down towards the ground.
Smart.
If it pops off, it hits the ground. No big deal.
That's genius, man.
Well, that's what I do. I'm just here for the brains.
Every day,
I'm the brains of this
I learn
operation.
something new. Well, there's no doubt about that.
I hired you from the neck down. All right, no, so great hack. Listen, guys, I mean, that seems like a pretty obvious one, right? But we're speaking to detailers of all different experience levels. They may be new. They may not even know they can use a power washer. That's what we want to give you guys. Things that
we want you to take something home with you, and put it into practice, and become better.
So, here's the reality: if you're stuck in the middle of the woods, and all you have is a car to detail, and a power washer, go ahead and use that power washer to rinse that car off. Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. It's definitely, it's confirmed.
That's a hack.
Yeah, it's a hack.
Definitely a hack, man.
It's a hack. Okay, that's going to wrap up this episode. Next week we'll be coming live from SDC, so you're going to want to stop by and check out our booth. Kick it with us for a little bit.
That's right.
And, of course, don't forget, you can follow us on all the podcast platforms.
We're everywhere. We'll have a link tree soon that you can just go to the link tree, and it'll have every link there.
Absolutely. So come by and check us out, and hopefully we see a lot of people there at SDC. We're super excited about it. I think it's going to be a great show, and if we don't see you there, we'll see you back the next Friday here on set back in the old Saraland, Alabama. So we'll see you guys next week. Peace.